your part of the world. So I'm going to share with you today 5 social media mistakes that entrepreneurs make. Now, where this information comes from is an article that, am I back? This is 2 times in a row that I've had a connection issue. So hopefully I am back and that you can hear me and see me okay. Not a good thing to happen at the very beginning of your live, but hopefully I am live. And if somebody is on live, if you can share that with me, that would be awesome. So there's this information from a gentleman called Mark Walker Ford, and he did some research in an article about these 5 social media mistakes that entrepreneurs make in the social media world. So he's in a web-based social media world. So I read this and I thought, yes, 5 times over. So I thought I'd share with you that this is sort of research-based. Hello, Olive. That means I've got comments today, so that's awesome. I did have a connection issue just before, so I'm not sure how this live video actually started because I think I was on, then I was off, but I'm here now and you guys are here now, so great to see you on. Hello, Selena, good to see you on. Hello, Sean, thank you for saying hello to Henry. We've got Lynn as well. Awesome, guys. As you are coming in and you're part of this community or would like to be part of this community, put the palm tree emoji down below. If you are part of our free Facebook group community, which is called Social Media Strategies for Home Business Owners, put a little fish emoji down below. And if you're one of my online crew leaders in my private online crew coaching community, you guys get to put the cruise ship down below. These are the people that are taking action and learning to be leaders in the industry with practical training. And we have a live Zoom Q&A call in that community today. So I look forward to seeing you guys over there. So this information about the 5 social media mistakes entrepreneurs make, I think it's just really good to reflect on stuff like this and ask yourself, are you doing any of these 5 things? If you are doing any of these 5 things, these mistakes, then it might be a good opportunity just to do a little bit of check-in and go, oh, hey Jinky, I'm not doing that, or I am doing that, etc., and just take a little bit of a check-in, okay? So for those of you that have, not been on a live of mine before and we've not met before, my name is Helen Martin. I am going live 2 hours earlier than I normally go live on today because I'm hosting a webinar and reviewing a whole lot of people's Facebook ads and the time just clashes. So those of you that are still on, thank you for being on even though I'm live 2 hours earlier than normal. That's awesome. But I'm presuming a lot of people will catch the replay, which is awesome too. Hey, Sahura, good to see you on. So what are these mistakes, the social media mistakes that entrepreneurs are making? Remember, this is not me. This is research based in an article, but I agreed with all 5 mistakes. So something to check in for myself and something for you guys to check in as well. Okay. So, hey, Jen, it's a perfect time for you. Well, I'm glad it works for you, Sahura. 2 hours earlier, early bedtime it works for you, Sean. Sean's in the UK and I think it's 2 a.m. my normal live, Sean, which he is often on, more often than not. So yeah, you get to sleep earlier today. Okay, so number one on social media, and I've spoken about this twice in the last week already myself. So it was definitely a big tick for me in agreeing with this, and that is acting without a plan. Hey, Casey, 4 p.m., reasonable time, good time. So acting without a plan on social media. Social media moves really fast, and unless you're consistent and you're really active, so you're taking lots of action, you're consistent with that action, and you know what you're doing when, you can get left behind, easily get left behind. So social media is not something that we can sort of come in and out of and expect to have a big impact. So if you really want to have an impact on social media, you want to grow a following faster, hey Vivi, you want to grow a faster following, of likes and followers and gain traction and interaction engagement, you have to show up all the time. So that includes, having a really effective plan. So the number 1 mistake is acting without a plan. And I've mentioned that myself a couple of times in the last week. I know it's boring, guys. It's not, it's it's not, really exciting, but it makes the world of difference. I actually shared something with you last week about how I planned for that week with my content, with my Facebook Lives, and it absolutely saved my week. So planning is number one key. If you're not doing it, guys, learn how to time block. So put an hour aside here, half an hour there, work out where your time blocks can be, and that's your social media planning. Okay, so wherever you're showing up, whatever you're doing, plan for it. Okay, number two, a huge mistake on social media. I still get caught with it, and I'm sure you guys get caught with this, and that is the illusion or the misconception that numbers matter on social media. Maybe previously, but not today, not in this day and age. Hi, Edith. It's not a numbers game, guys. It's not the number of likes and followers you have in your page. It's not the amount of people in your group. Yes, you can celebrate those things and they're good to have, and the more people that you have, the more exposure you have. But it's all about, yes, very good comment, Vivi. It's about quality. So I would rather have, 100 people that are engaged and interacting with me and showing up often than have 1,000 people that are doing nothing. So it is a massive illusion on social media. Everybody's chasing the likes. Everybody's chasing the numbers. But don't let that be an indicator of your success at all. There are plenty of people with large numbers not making any money on social media, guys. And it's because they're not consistent, or they don't really lead with value. They lead with their wallet. They might be funny and interesting, but people aren't buying anything off them because they're not seen as valuable. If you want to make more money on social media, you need to become more valuable in the marketplace to your audience. And that's not a numbers game. So don't get caught up in chasing the numbers, chasing the likes. People pay for it. People go out and pay for likes, and it is so damaging to your business page. I've had many students that I've mentored over the time that have done this innocently, and it was done a lot more, in the last year, not so much now, but people are still, because those kind of people that promote that have been sort of caught up with, and their programs have been disabled, if you like. So it's something that you really need to be careful of, is not to buy likes, not to buy, your way into the numbers game, which doesn't mean anything at the end of the day anyway. Okay. So you really want to grow, in a way that creates connections with people and promotes engagement and interaction, and don't get caught up with the numbers. We all do at certain times, and even myself, I look at my Facebook Lives, and guys should do this. Look at your Facebook Lives and evaluate which one got more views, and that will give you an indication of what people are resonating with more. So numbers still you don't want to ignore them completely, but what I'm talking about is the numbers game, like the false numbers, like the number of likes and followers and stuff like that. It doesn't mean that you're going to be any better if you've got more than those than somebody that's got less but really, really good and engaged with their audience, okay? Hey, Judy and Bob. Hey, Cindy. Wishing you all big thinking. Very well said, Judy and Bob. If you missed my Facebook Live yesterday, we talked a lot about thinking big, okay? If you missed that, go back and watch it, because it's a really, really important way, to think moving forward as to your success. Not only online, in business, in life, in relationships, everything. So great comment, Judy and Bob. Okay, number 3 is spreading yourself too thin. So if you think that being in all places on social media is a really good thing to do, but the impact of that is that you're doing just a little bit here and a little bit there and a little bit there, and you're spreading yourself way too thin, therefore you can't get back to people fast enough, and you're leaving people hanging because you can't keep up with where you are and what you're doing, because you're on Snapchat and LinkedIn and Instagram and Facebook and everywhere else that you want to play, but you don't really have a big profile on any of them. I would highly encourage you to focus more on one. If you've got the time and energy, go for it. But if you're struggling, if you're really spreading yourself too thin, you want to focus on one or two more predominantly, and the others a little bit less, until you get a higher profile, because people will follow you to the other platforms. So concentrate on having more of an impact on one and getting a strong following on one or two, and then filter out to the others. So once again, it depends on your time and energy. If you've got the time and energy to do it, go for it. But yeah, Vivi's saying here, social media does take time, and you want to give the platforms the time and attention that they deserve to build up a proper, engaged and interactive audience on one or two of those predominantly, and then the others will follow. So if you're finding that you can't keeping up because you're trying to do all the platforms, but you don't really have a high profile on any one of them, that would probably be a good indication to you. Maybe pull back on some of the others, focus on one, make a really concentrated effort, plan that effort, get a little bit more traction, and then filter back out to the others. Okay, so it's one of the major mistakes that people make. They think they need to be everywhere. Whereas, what's that saying? The words aren't coming to me, but you do one thing really well, then a whole lot of little things not so well. Well, there's a quote around that, guys. If any of you know what that is, put it in. Hey Shirley, good to see you on live. Okay, the fourth one is ignoring the competition. Now, what I mean by that is we don't want you to get caught up with compare-itis, because that's really damaging. How many of you have gone there? Gone, why can't I have more followers? Why don't I get the traction and engagement they do? Why this, why that? We go into this compare-itis, and that's, the mother of all evil to do that, because you end up putting yourself down, because you're looking at people and maybe comparing their 12 months to your 3 months, and you're not realistically sort of measuring how long. People have got a lot longer journey than you ever realize, generally. I remember going to a conference overseas a couple of years ago, and all the speakers on stage, the initial impression was, wow, they're so successful so quickly. Every one of them had a backstory that you just don't know. They've been doing it a lot longer than what you think they do. They've been researching and practicing and doing things that didn't work a lot longer when they didn't have a profile. But nobody sees that. Nobody sees the hard work behind the scenes, and nobody suddenly becomes a media personality or a social media personality or suddenly successful. People that are successful usually have a major backstory. But we look at some of these people on the surface of it and go, oh, I wish I was like that. Or it's so easy. That's one of them, Judy and Bob. Sorry, it's just caught my eye. Jack of all trades and a master of none. Great way to put it, was what I was trying to say before. You look up to people and go, oh, they're so natural at Facebook Live. So they've got the personality for it. I don't. All those kind of things. And you look at somebody and compare in that way, that you've got no idea that they've been working at it for years, a lot longer than you ever realized. So, it takes a lot of time and energy, and you just don't want to compare yourself to other people, because there's only one of you and one of everyone else in the world. We really can't compare. We're all unique individual human beings that all have a unique offering out to the big wide world of social media. There is something each and every one of you have that somebody doesn't. There is something unique about you that is, can't be replicated, because it's you. It's what makes you who you are. We all have something that we can offer that nobody else can. You've just got to learn to find what that is. And you only do that by really failing forward and trialing a whole lot of different things. And generally people are scared to. They're scared to put themselves out there. They're scared to try different things. They're scared to fail forward. But when you do, you'll find your little niche. And then you can just roll, on your own. Because in the beginning, you're going to model yourself on people. You don't want to copy, you want to model. So there may be somebody you look up to and go, oh, they're so inspiring. I love this about them. I love that about them. I look up to the success that they've had. So model yourself on people, but don't copy, because what makes you uniquely you and why people follow you is exactly that. You're uniquely you, and there's only one of you. Okay? But in saying that, you want to keep your eyes and ears open to what's going out there in social media. It's one of those areas that moves very, very fast. And you need to keep your eyes and ears open to what's going on out there. So you do want to keep an eye on other people, other influencers, people you look up to, people that are doing well, people that are having success, and keep an eye on, the competition, so to speak, or people that you would like to model. So you need to keep your eyes open, but in the same respect, you don't want to compare, because it'll just do your head in. Because we never get up in the morning and go, I'm so much better than everybody else. Like, I'm doing so much better than everyone else. Like, nobody does that. Well, there might be some people in the world that do that, but generally, we're always looking at ourselves as wanting more. And why can't I have this? Or why can't I do that? Or why won't this happen faster? Why? We're getting in a why loop, which is a really, really bad thing to do. Okay, so just watch that one. You want to keep an eye on people in the industry and what they're up to, especially in social media where it moves so fast. But you don't want to get into the trap of comparing your day 1 to somebody's day 500, if that makes sense, okay? Absolutely, Sean and Vivi, they've both said we're all unique in our own way. Vivi said we're all amazing in our own way. Absolutely, okay? Number five biggest mistake that entrepreneurs make on social media is not actually looking in the mirror, okay? I will always come back to 3 particular questions, which I've learned from mentors of mine. And there's a really good reasons why these 3 questions, and some of you already know what I'm going to say that listen to me regularly. But what's working, what's not working, and what can I do differently to move the needle forward? Now, why those are really, really effective questions is because when we get down on ourselves and things aren't working, we feel like we're beating our head against a brick wall, and I'm doing everything that I think I need to do. I'm doing Facebook Lives all the time. My interaction engagement isn't increasing. This is really hard work. This is a lot harder work than I thought it was going to be. All those kind of things. We are wrapped up in emotion. So we get down on ourselves. And you can spiral when you do that. And then everything's going wrong. You're arguing with your partner and the kids are being feral and, whatever's going on in your world. And then more bills come in and you're like, how am I going to pay for that? Like, things can tend to spiral, and that's all emotion. You cannot make effective decisions on moving the needle forward on emotion. So you've got to take the emotion out of it. So those 3 questions, what's working? Okay, so I'm doing this well, I'm being consistent, whatever. Okay, I'll keep doing that. What's not working? Okay, whatever it is that's not working. So what can I do differently to move the needle forward? Well, I need to do more of that and less of that. Or I'm just all over the place. I need to time block, like Helen suggested on the video. Like, what can I do differently to move the needle forward? You have to ask those questions to get out of the emotion, because we make crappy decisions when we're feeling down on ourselves. We just don't evaluate effectively when we're all emotional and down and feeling like what we're doing is not working. So when we can take the emotion out of it and truly evaluate actual numbers and externally verifiable things rather than internal emotions, which sometimes don't do us any favors, you have half a chance to actually rationalize, okay, I need to stop doing that. I need to stop comparing myself to other people, and I've just got to run my own race. So I'll allow half an hour to have a look around what people did last week, what are people teaching, whatever, get some ideas, maybe brainstorm for my Facebook Lives for the next week. And then I'm not going to, go there for the rest of the week. Like, whatever you feel is important to you in your business. But you have to look in the mirror, guys. You have to evaluate after, every week, 7 days or 30 days, how did the last month go? Well, I actually achieved pretty much next to nothing because life get in the way. Okay, so what can I do differently? Oh, okay, I need to plan my time. That might be what you assess. It might be, wow, that worked really well. So how can I plan more of that into my next month? You have to look into the mirror and be realistic about what you are doing and what you aren't doing. Because there might be a lot of things that you want to do, but you get to the end of 7 days or 30 days and you've got that same feeling of not accomplishing anything, or you haven't moved the needle forward. So 2 prongs there. It helps you evaluate what you aren't doing potentially, but it also helps you concentrate on the little things, because when you look too big and you don't get there, your immediate feeling is a failure and that you're not good enough and you're not achieving enough, and then you give up. So you've got to focus on the progress. So in the last 7 days or 30 days, what have I achieved? Oh, okay, I've had this many more people join my group and they're engaging with me. Awesome. I'll keep inviting people to my group, whatever it is that you're doing. So evaluating and tracking it. Even having a little, getting a little bit nerdy, guys, and having a little spreadsheet. And this week I had this many people in my group or this many people on my page, and it grow and assess, because there are trends. There are trends in different months of the year. There are trends, in winter and summer. Some people are more active on social media. There are times that are less active. When you know that and you're truly evaluating, and it's like, oh, my numbers are down on my Facebook Lives, my interaction down. Oh, it's okay, summer. People are out and about doing things. That's a normal trend. Unless you're sort of checking in, seeing what's happening with you and your business and getting a feel for what's working and what's not working, you're flying blind, guys. So it's really important to check in with you and your activity and your successes as well as your failures. I know most of you are going to highlight what you consider failures, which I consider lessons, but just really checking in what's working, what's not working, and looking in the mirror going, okay, I did a pretty bad job last week of showing up. I let life get in the way. Okay, all right, lesson learned. I need to pick myself up a little bit quicker. So life's going to happen. Stuff is going to be thrown at you that you don't like. You're going to lose people that you love. People are going to do things that you don't like. There are always going to be circumstances that challenge you in life. Always. It's not what's going on. It's how you handle it. So how are you handling that? Do you crawl in a ball and cry and you're a mess for a week? Or do you do that for 24 hours and then shake yourself off the next morning and go, okay, that is what is. I don't like it, but I can't stay there because that's not helping me. I have to shake myself off and move on. So just remember that as well. Like, reflect on what you're doing. Truly evaluate where you're at, where you want to go, plan for it, all those kind of things. But just, when things happen, you can't go through life without things happening. Bad things happening, sad things happening, awful things happening. Things get stolen, or, bad things are still going to happen in your life along the way. It's not what happens. It's how you handle things that happen. And if you need to cry and get angry and grieve or whatever it is that's going on, do it. But I always remembered seeing John Maxwell speak on stage in Orlando a number of years ago, and he spoke about this 24-hour rule. I've spoken about this quite a few times, and he's like, in those circumstances, let yourself do and feel what you need to, because you need to release emotions. If you don't, they only come out later anyway. If you're the kind of person that's got all the walls up and shields yourself and doesn't let anybody know how you feel, it will pop up later in your life, because it's just human nature. You can't bottle that stuff. It affects you for the rest of your life. So you are better to let it out, deal with it, cry, get angry, do whatever you do. But as John Maxwell says, is after 24 hours, well, he actually said after about 15 minutes, you're choosing to stay there. So we get initial reactions, jolt reactions, like something might happen, you instantly cry. Something might happen, you're instantly shocked. Something might happen, you have an instant reaction, which is your body at work and you have no control over that emotion. Like there are instant reactions that you can't control. Those times you say something and you think, oh, I really shouldn't have said that. Sometimes things just happen in an instant and you can't control them. But what John Maxwell was saying is after about 15 minutes, your emotion is a choice. So after 24 hours, now let's be responsible about it and go, okay, get yourself out of it. You're choosing to be a pain in the bum. You're choosing to be sad. You're choosing to be down in the dumps. You're choosing to be an emotional mess. So it's actually a choice when you sit in the emotion for too long. For some people, depending what it is, it will be more than 24 hours. There could be something major happen in your life, and it could well be more than 24 hours. But we get to that point where you've got to realize everything is a choice, guys. Your life, your emotions, your thoughts, how you move through life, how you speak to people, how you treat people, how you treat yourself. All of it is a choice. No one is making you do anything. No one is behind you controlling your life. You control your life. You control how you feel. You control how you take charge. So 24 hours of whatever's going on, and pick yourself up and move on deliberately, and you will have far more success, not only in your business, but in your relationships with friends and stuff like that. Even things like if you've got an issue with somebody, just talk about it. Get on a phone. Don't use email or messenger or stuff like that to talk about stuff. It never ends well, ever. Talk to a human being on the phone if you can't talk to them in person, and deal with whatever it is you need to deal with, because that stuff festers for years. There will be some of you listening to this that somebody comes to mind straight away that you've been hanging on to an issue with for years. Whereas you could have picked up the phone years ago or even now and go, hey, we need to deal with this. And a whole weight gets lifted off your shoulders because you decided to be the bigger person and deal with it. Okay, so I've sidetracked there a little bit, but it's really, really important, not only for business, social media. I mean, we're talking about 5 mistakes on social media, but just life is to realize that you're in the driver's seat. Nobody else is driving your life but you. So take control of the wheel, guys. And if you're feeling crappy about something, if you're not feeling good about yourself, if you got issues that are hanging around, get in the driver's seat and deal with it, because after 24 hours, you are choosing to stay there. So you can't complain. If you got crap going on, you can't complain because you're in control. So if you're complaining about something over and over and over and over and over again, you're choosing to stay in that situation. You're actually choosing it. You might think you've got no options, but you do. They're just hard choices sometimes. Really hard choices. So, lecture over. Olive, I prefer to talk it out and get over it now, not later. Yeah, I've learnt that now. And I did it recently, and it was with a family member, and it hung around for weeks, and eventually it's like, nah, I need to deal with this because I know it's going to go on forever, because I knew the other person wouldn't raise it. So it's like, Helen, you just have to be the bigger person and clear the air. So I did, and life's back to normal again. But it was hanging around for weeks and weeks and weeks when it really shouldn't have been. I should have dealt with it weeks and weeks ago. So if you know that in those kind of situations, if there's someone or something or that you're dealing with, and you just know the other person isn't going to be the bigger person, then take that on board yourself, okay? Yeah, Cheryl, put your big girl panties on and move on. It's our responsibility. So when we sit in our own frustration and stuff, it's a choice. You can deal with it or you can sit in it. And if you choose to sit in it, don't complain. You got no right to complain if you're making the choice to not deal with whatever, it is. Anyway, so those 5 social media mistakes that entrepreneurs make, as I said, that was actually written by somebody else, but I'm like, yes, acting without a plan, absolutely. Thinking that size matters is an obstacle, absolutely. Spreading yourself too thin on social media, absolutely. Ignoring sort of the competition and what's happening around with you in social media, absolutely, because social media moves too fast, but remember, we don't want to compare. And the last one, like looking in the mirror. How are you going, Helen? Am I doing well? Are there things that I'm not doing well? And if I'm not doing well, what can I do differently about it? Like, you have to check in with yourselves, guys, and be really realistic, because something that I talked about yesterday, there's this thing called excuse-itis, and you can justify anything in your life with your excuses. You can say, oh, I'm not where I want to be, but that's because blah, 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 blah. Your excuses will justify why you're not where you want to be. It's just life. So take in a check in, look in the mirror. Aren't you just making excuses? Okay. Sean, been there, done that. Sometimes you have to step up and be the bigger person. Absolutely. And it's tough, guys. But it's just so much more rewarding when you can clear the air and not worry. Like the brain space that worrying. I mean, how many of you are worriers? I am a bit of a worrier, and I've learned to deal with things quicker so I can not worry. because it takes up too much brain space worrying about other people, what other people thinking, something that's happened, they haven't emailed me back or messaged me back, are they ignoring me? Like, we make up all this stuff in our mind and it's not actually reality. So if you're big enough to ask a question or, you know, ask to chat to someone, oh, no, I didn't mean that at all. And it's like, oh, okay. And you clear the air instead of wasting your time worrying about something for far longer than you need to. Okay, so a whole lot of lessons in there. I hope you got something out of value for that. It's just really good food for thought to talk about these things, because we want you to be successful on social media. We want you to stand out on social media. We want you to be uniquely you on social media. We want you to find that thing that you have that nobody else has and run with it, and, you know, be consistent and have a plan and get more interaction and engagement and all those kind of things we've already discussed. Okay. Cheryl, yes, get that cloud off your shoulders. Absolutely. Edith, great value. Thank you, Helen. Selena, thanks, Helen. No worries, guys. So thank you for those of you that have jumped on, considering I am 2 hours earlier than I normally am. So thank you for that. I will be back to normal time tomorrow. So I'll see you guys all then. Those of you in my online crew coaching community, I really look forward to seeing you guys live on Zoom today, where you can get some free coaching from me and let's talk about your business and moving the needle forward for you. So I'll catch you guys then, and I'll catch the rest of you guys tomorrow. Bye.